do you remember the beetroot we got at school? Overcooked, pickled, and soaked in vinegar, and frankly, pretty horrible. It was enough to put you off this stuff for life, or so I thought.
This is Clifton in Bristol, and I've been invited to something called a Beetroot Supper Club. I'm slightly unsure on whether to turn up with wine or not, but I decide beetroot is a safe bet. Tom runs one of the area's best veg shops.
Obviously, that's what I affiliate. When I think of beetroot, I think of that.
Yeah.
But having just seen this...
Yeah, there's a lot more to it, isn't there? You've got the golden beetroot, and you've got the candy beetroot. Looks like it's something out of a candy store, doesn't it?
It does.
But yeah, I mean, that's where I got its name. But they've been growing this for years in this country. I'd say the golden is more sweet, and the candy's a little bit more earthy. Still super good for you, and also a good addition to salad. And your roast dinners, have it with anything.
Lovely.
Have a nice day, sir.
Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Beetroot bagged, I'm ready for anything, especially a Beetroot Supper Club. Who knows, I might even pick up some new uses for beetroot I've never dreamt of.
Wow, look at those beauties. They're enormous.
I know, they're massive, aren't they?
Absolutely enormous.
So, are you a real beetroot enthusiast?
Yeah, I really, really love beetroot. I mean, I think a lot of people would put off beetroot perhaps at school when it came like really over vinegared and it was so sort of strong.
I like that, though.
Do you? So I kind of like it, but you know, on its own, it's a beautiful thing. It's so sort of sweet and earthy, and it's fantastic.
My host Genevieve has planned an unlikely menu of beetroot jellies, beetroot dolmadas, and even beetroot bread. She has all the baking to do before her 4 guests arrive. Beetroot jellies is first on the list, with raspberries, pomegranates, and gelatin.
That will do it. Okay. I'm just going to pop that in the pan with a tiny bit of sugar, just 50 ml.
That's not a tiny bit of sugar. A tiny bit of sugar is half a teaspoon. That's about 6 tablespoons.
That was 50 ml of sugar.
Which is 4.5 tablespoons.
I just thought I'd drop a few raspberries in the bottom.
OK, so it's strained through, and literally you're just going to pour it all into the...
I'm just going to pour it into the glasses, and the raspberries will float to the top.
As the jelly's set, we tackle the dolmadas. Rather than traditional vine leaves, Genevieve is using, surprise, surprise, beetroot leaves. I love dolmadas, and I'm really not sure about this. As the beetroot dolmadas steam, Genevieve drags me into uncharted beetroot territory.
I'm a bit nervous about this, but I'm going to make some beetroot bread. So I hope you're going to be kind to me.
You're making beetroot bread.
I'm going to make beetroot bread.
How are you going to go about that?
So I am going to, instead of using water, the bulk of the liquid is going to be, again, raw beetroot juice. So it's going to be a really lovely, amazing pink colour.
Genevieve is one brave lady making experimental breads in front of me.
Strong
What's
bread
this?
flour, dried yeast.
Why do you use this stuff? Use the instant stuff, it's far easier. You have the powder.
Yeah, that's just what I always use. I'm going to put a tiny bit of sugar in to get the yeast going.
Okay.
Just, yeah, that's too much.
It's all right,
It's
honestly.
too much. Teaspoon. So I'm going to take some out, I don't want that.
This is going to turn it bright pink, isn't it?
It is.
Like Barbie bread.
Yeah, Barbie bread. Woohoo!
Okay.
I think that'll do.
Probably enough.
Whack in the juice, whack in the yeast.
And you're going to need this now as well.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
If I'm going to add anything to this story,
Go on, show me. Bit of oil.
you'd never use flour when you're dealing with dough, because it keeps the dough really moist.
It dries it
And you'll
out.
find it cleans your hands
Yeah.
at the same time.
I did try and step back, but I'm a baker, and I just can't keep my hands off the dough.
It's getting sort of smoother, isn't it? And stretchy, you can see it changing.
After it's proved for an hour, Genevieve decides it's time to shape her, well, whatever it is. I've worked with all types of dough in my time, but never one this pink. But I guess what really matters is the taste. We'll see.
I actually think it's more style above substances. I can't see the beetroot flavour coming through in this.
No, I mean, it doesn't come through really strongly because it's quite a subtle flavour. But I think you can definitely taste it a bit. And I think half of the pleasure of eating comes from what it looks like to start with. So you kind of go, wow, that looks great.
Fascinating stuff. We're using beetroot, we're using the jelly, we're using it inside the bread to create loaf. Lots of things going on, but is it the beetroot? Is it the beetroot? Are we going to taste the beetroot? I know what beetroot tastes like. Is it going to come through in those foods? More importantly, what's everybody else going to bring? Fingers crossed.
The guests are here and it's time for the beetroot feast to commence. Let's pink up this party.
It's colourful, isn't it?
Genevieve's beetroot devotees have brought some very creative uses for beetroot, including beetroot and chorizo sausage rolls, beetroot bhajis, and even, get this, a beetroot tart tatin. Genevieve and her guests are obviously all talented cooks. It's their devotion to beetroot that's at question here, especially with the bread.
The beetroot going into that bread has made a difference to the nutritional quality of that bread. Taste-wise, it tastes like a bread. If you close your eyes and eat it, you wouldn't know what it is. It tastes like a good bread, and it's a lovely bread. It's a great texture, it's a great look. I think that's a success. Whether the flavour comes through or not is almost immaterial.
Genevieve's beetroot leaf dalmadas are next.
What do you think of those, Paul?
It's tomatoes.
Yeah. Better than throwing away, though, eh?
I think it's great. It tastes good. It bites. There's no tear. There's no rubbiness at all. It melts. Yeah, it melts. I've changed my mind on the beetroot, and there's still the jelly to come.
There's pudding.
You know what? I'm actually quite impressed with the main course, but beetroot desserts?
It's delicious.
Jelly. I've definitely got a bit of beetroot going on.
Quite earthy. Soil-like, almost. But not in a bad way, if that's at all possible.
Oh, thanks.
Well, overall, I came here with the idea that beetroot is a one-trick pony. However, having been here today with you strange people that play with beetroot and create dishes which are, let's be honest, magical. You've got some big flavours going on in all the dishes. All I can say is, I'm going to raise my glass to the humble beetroot. Cheers.
Cheers.
So how have you got on with beetroot since? You've
Yeah,
obviously
not
been making
bad.
breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Well, I don't eat it every day, but several times a week.
I think you do.
definitely. I don't. I'd be purple otherwise.
Well, you see, the thing is, I was really shocked about the diversity that they came up with. I thought that generally beetroot has been it's that sort of maligned veg that no one tries to use, or if they're going to have it, they have it like that,
In a
and they have it in a
salad.
salad with salad cream.
Yeah.
And I was one of those people, and to a large degree, still am.
Yeah.
I need to experiment a bit more. Like today, I'm going to make a beetroot pie.
I'm not going to make some crazy beetroot-coloured pastry, just a normal sweet short crust with a squeeze of lemon and butter.
So you crush it in the flour as quickly as possible, trying to avoid too much liquid at this stage.
What was the lemon juice for again?
The lemon juice helps break down the gluten, the protein in the flour, so
To make it more tender.
to make it so it breaks easy and crumbles, because what happens is if you don't put it in, and you can get away with not putting it in, to be honest, basically what will happen is it becomes a little bit too gelatinous, and so it can have that slightly rubbiness to it. I mean, it can impart flavour, it depends on how much you put in. If you put a lot in, then sure.
And is that the acid in it that does that? That breaks it?
Yeah, it's the acid that breaks it down. I'm just going to pop that on the bench, get a little bit of flour on there, coat it in the flour, and basically work this flour until it's nice and smooth. Now, that takes literally 10-20 seconds. Then you leave it in the fridge for about 10-15 minutes. It just solidifies. The butter then solidifies. It'll be good and more malleable. It's just easier to roll out. That's the only reason why it goes back in the fridge. I've got my rolling pin. 3 rolls was my lucky one. and then roll it out, again, from the middle up and the middle down. Now, place it in there, fold in all the way around, fold over the lip slightly. Then you get your baking beans ready, piece of silicone paper inside, and force these down to make sure they get right into the corners.
Do you trim it afterwards? You don't trim it now?
No, I'll trim it afterwards because you can get some shrinkage back in the oven. So at this stage, that goes into the oven about 200 for about 15 minutes, and it comes out golden brown.
To make the filling for the pie, I blitz up some cooked beetroot. Use the ones in natural juice, not vinegar, and some double cream.
Look at that. It's amazing stuff. I mean, it's beautiful, actually. It's a lovely colour. I'm happy with that. Now, over here, I've got 2 eggs, which is the other part of the filling. 2 eggs straight in there, and I've got some dark muscovado sugar straight in there. I think that maltiness that comes from this is going to help this as well. It's sort of that depth of flavour that could blend, could work quite well with it.
How much sugar have you got in there? That looks like quite a lot, doesn't it?
It is quite a lot. It is quite a lot.
It really is a sweet, it's a sort of dessert pie.
Yes.
This one.
I think it's to enhance it, but I could have gone down the caster sugar route and just kept it white, but I think it needs some...
Bit of toffee flavour.
A little bit of punch in there as well, you know? And to add to that punch, actually, I'm going to add some ginger. There's a little bit of ginger in there. Again, the ginger with the beetroot should work. And I've got some cinnamon as well. Are these the sort of things that you generally work with?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a real passion for spice, and beetroot and spice is a brilliant thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, savoury or sweet, you know.
I think it's got such an edginess to the beetroot. I think it could take a lot of flavours, actually. I mean, I'm going to add a little bit of zest of lemon in there as well. And again, it'll lift it up. I think lemon in any dish is a huge winner for me.
It just enhances flavours somehow, doesn't it, lemon?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
I combine my beetroot puree with a sweet, sugary egg mixture to complete the filling for my pie.
So that's your filling. There's my tart shell, and basically, you fill that up. It almost looks like it's got coconut on, doesn't it?
So that's the cream, presumably, is just separated, and when it heats, that'll all go
get in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, that is all of it inside there. Give it a little bit of a shake. Now that needs to go back in the oven at 150 for about 35 minutes until it's cooked, and it'll set almost like a jelly. And when it does come out, that is precisely how it comes out. I mean, it's something which, it's not going to shock the world the way it looks, but I bet you it'll rock the world when you become to eat it.
I think my creamy beetroot pie, spiced up with the ginger, has blown away those memories of soggy school dinner veg.